Hi! So, I did my project on obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and the treatment I researched was exposure and response prevention. Okay, so what is it? So, the DSM-5 defines OCD as recurrent and persistent thoughts, urges, or images that are experienced at some time during the disturbance as intrusive, unwanted, and that in most individuals cause marked anxiety or distress. So basically, this is repeated unwanted thoughts that lead to anxiety to an individual because they have experienced something that is causing their stress and it's causing them to react in a certain way. So the obsession part is defined as intrusive and unwanted thoughts, ideas, or images that lead to anxiety, and the compulsion factor is repetitious, intentional rituals performed to neutralize the anxiety. So the DSM criteria to be diagnosed with OCD is obsessional symptoms or compulsive acts. So these consist of anything that causes distress. These symptoms are time consuming and they take up more than 1 hour per day. And these symptoms interfere with daily routine, your occupational, so work or academic and school functioning, and interferes with your relationships. So then the prevalence of OCD is who has the condition or disease at any point in time. So Gerardo Sison from Single Care stated that OCD affects 1 in 40 adults in the US who are over 18, and then it affects 1 in 100 US children who are under 18. And then 2.3% of the US population has OCD. 1.8% are made up of females, and then 0.5% of the 2.3 is made up from males. And then if you have a family history of OCD, individuals have a 25% higher chance of developing symptoms if you're an immediate family member. So then the average onset of OCD is 19 and a half years old, and 90% of adults with OCD also had another mental disorder. It didn't say which ones, it just said they had one. And then conditions that often coincide with the OCD are anxiety disorders, mood disorders like bipolar and depressive, also impulse control like ADHD, and substance use disorders. So then the incidence of OCD. Incidence is anyone who has the condition or disease between different points in time. So here I have this graph that shows the incidence rates per 100,000, and it shows the number here of the cases and then also an age, and it breaks it down by gender. So you can see from ages 20 to 29, it's highest in total males and female. So it's highest in these points and then it goes down. But you can also see that OCD is highest overall in females. And then I have, this is just over time, so since 1997 to 2006, so it's about 10 years. It shows the trend of males again, and then the total, and then female. And females again show a little bit higher rates of OCD. So then, with that. So exposure and response prevention is the treatment that works best for OCD. This is daily sessions of exposure to situations that provoke anxiety until the habitual behaviors and ritualistic behaviors become absent. Some therapists use the technique of flooding, but that is not gradual. That is just exposing the client to their fear all at once, and that really causes a lot of anxiety in patients, so this is why they choose to do it more gradually. So the treatment is designed to be gradual, to expose the client to fear. So I'm going to use this example that I read in an article that I have cited, but it's a girl named Caroline, and she had a fear of causing harm to others. And that was her obsessional theme. And then she also had specific thoughts that she has the fear of spreading bad energy in the form of dust from her hands or mouth, and she was worried this would cause harm or even death to other people if she spread the bad energy. So associated rituals that happened when she got anxious, where she would flick her fingers, she would wipe her hands to remove the dust, she would also bite the sides of her tongue to remove the dust, and she would close her hands into fists to prevent dust from escaping. So then, treatment for people with OCD using the exposure and prevention. It's a number of sessions that vary based on the individual. So sessions will vary depending on the severity of the OCD. And then most clients in an outpatient setting receive between 12 and 15 sessions, and these are conducted weekly, and the sessions last between 60 and 90 minutes. So this would be an example of like goals for a session, and I just chose session 1. So it would be like reviewing OCD symptoms, education about what's going to happen, providing research, and then at the end, you can't really see it, but teaching the symptom monitoring and begin development of fear hierarchy, which is how they will work up to get over their fear. So then in Caroline's case, symptoms were monitored using the Yale-Brown Obsessive Compulsive Scale, and this is actually a gold standard for assessing OCD in adults, and it's very sensitive for detecting any treatment-related change, so that is good. And then efficacy of the treatment. Empirical data shows that ERP, exposure response, is effective for 60 to 90% of clients, so that's really good. And then it also shows a 50% to 80% reduction in symptoms. And then benefits from treatment are maintained at the 2-year follow-up. And then there are potential barriers to treatment. So if someone's not compliant to exposure, that could result in any difficulties of reaping the benefits of therapy or even achieving the response prevention. And some factors that can cause noncompliance are lack of motivation, misunderstanding of treatment, disagreements, just a poor relationship with the therapist, moving too fast, which would cause more anxiety, or any social anxieties that are unrelated to the treatment itself and need to be addressed prior to doing treatment. And then also client progress is monitored by the therapist, and the client is exposed to more anxiety-provoking stimuli, and reduction in symptoms will occur, and symptoms interfering with day-to-day life will decrease, and that's how they will monitor if treatment is working. And then just a key message to take away is that OCD is prevalent among a small population of the U.S., but it is still there. Exposure and response prevention therapy is a very effective form of treatment for treating OCD, and it consists of gradual exposure that over time is supposed to reduce the symptoms of OCD and reduce the fear that brings on the OCD symptoms. And then the Society of Clinical Psychology, Division 12 of APA, is a really great resource. It offers many empirical data to support treatment that works for treating OCD, and also self-help guides, books. So it's a great resource in case anyone in your family, or if you have questions about OCD or any other psychological disorders. Thank you!